What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and today I am so happy to talk about Astral Chain and Fire Emblem when it comes to the NPD sales for August 2019. We have the top 20 best-selling charts, which has a lot of familiar faces out there, but I want to talk about my two babies, my two games that I like so much and that are Game of the Year leading candidates for me, and that is Astral Chain and Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now let's first get into Fire Emblem Three Houses, because that game, we all knew it was going to perform well. It's Fire Emblem. It did well in the previous month's NPD, even being tracked for just like a few days. But Astral Chain had some crazy stuff going on too. But let's first talk about Fire Emblem Three Houses. We'll go over the list. You guys will be seeing the list right here on the screen. So we're going to start off at number 1 with Madden NFL 20. Then you have Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5. Then right there at number 4 is Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now what makes this very impressive is that Fire Emblem Three Houses does not include the digital sales. That's what that little asterisk means right by the end of the houses there. It doesn't have the digital sales. And as you know, Nintendo Switch eShop is booming. Business is definitely booming when it comes to Nintendo Switch and the eShop. People are really playing a lot of games digitally, just because you have the Nintendo Switch, which is a modular portable system that it can kind of transform into hybrid. So people want to just be able to play their games at any point, right? Without having to sit there and change cartridges. They can just bring their system to wherever they're going to go. So I get it, and I can see why digital sales are doing so good this generation with Nintendo. So to see Fire Emblem Three Houses lock in at the number 4 spot there without the digital sales, and the game continues to be like in the top 10 or in the top 15, I know it's in the top when it comes to the eShop sales pretty much across the world. That is just amazing to see that. Now you have to remember though, guys, the NPD, that is just here in US of A. It is not like Canada, it is not like South America or all of this hemisphere or anything. It's just the United States of America. So Fire Emblem Three Houses is still doing extremely well, and they recently just released a brand new update, which I talked about in depth, which you guys can check out. But I do love what they're doing with this game. The Wave 2 DLC is really good, and I think that the continued sales of Fire Emblem just goes to show you that Nintendo made the right call. It became a major franchise for them after Fire Emblem Fates did like 2 million plus and became the best-selling Fire Emblem game of all time. And from that point on, Nintendo made the decision that the next Fire Emblem game was going to be back on consoles, was not going to be kind of like a smaller or side type of thing when it comes to Nintendo franchise, that it was going to be up there with the elite. Now maybe not as high as priority as like Mario or something, but it's definitely in that spot. You know, it's definitely in that top echelon of games out there, and a major franchise by Nintendo. So great to see Fire Emblem Three Houses do so well. And the game is just packed with so much content. It's packed full of so much stuff to do. It's just amazing how they even got it done. I can see why the game was delayed multiple times, just because there's just so much stuff to do in this game, and they continue to add really cool content with the update and of course the Wave 2 DLC. Now let's get into the next bit here, because there was some great games. As you guys can see right here on the list, you have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate continuing to sell very well, more than a half year after it's been released. Super Mario Maker 2 continuing to sell really well. Then also Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is pretty much immortal at this point, because that includes the Wii U and also the Switch version, with most of the versions being sold at this point being the Switch version. And then you see Mortal Kombat 11, but right there after Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, which is also kind of immortal in my opinion as well, is Astral Chain right there in the top 10. Now what makes Astral Chain different than all of these other games? All these other games have been out for like a lot longer. They've had a lot more days to track. Astral Chain is the only game on this list with pretty much just like 1 day of tracking, right? All these other games, even if you go down, have been out for months or even potentially years, right? With bigger install bases and all of that. So to see Astral Chain in the top 10 spot for a Platinum Games title, you have to remember Platinum Games titles are nowhere near as popular as a lot of the other games out there. So to see Astral Chain in that top 10 spot is so satisfying, because it came out on August 30th. Remember, this is the tracking for August, right? So it only tracked for 1 day. It only tracked for 1 day or so, maybe a little bit after that. I know they kind of do some weird like overlapping with the tracking or whatever the case is, but it didn't track for very long. It really did not track for very long. And the fact that it was in the top 10 is a good sign, because it's continuing to sell. You get those first day sales, and then you get like the next days, usually the week. You usually see a lot of the games get a big impact in that first 2 months or so, 2-3 months for Nintendo games. Usually it might be like a week or so for some PS4 and Xbox One, but for Nintendo games, usually you see like a big impact over the first like 2 or 3 months, then it kind of tails off, but it still continues at a good clip. So you don't see like a lot of price drops and stuff like that. So to see Astral Chain start up at number 10 with that 1 day of tracking is very, very positive. And it's something that kind of piggybacks off of what I was already saying with Astral Chain just a little bit ago. I made a video saying that Astral Chain is off to some big sales because we got what Hideki Kamiya had to say, saying that, hey, it's selling good for what they're tracking so far. We saw the Amazon sales charts, which when the game was first released, we saw how well it was #1 on there, and then we continue to see the game doing well on the eShop, which isn't counted here, but we continue to see people really wanting to pick up the game and it being popular, not only digitally, but also physically in stores with stuff like Amazon and brick and mortar stores across the United States and across the world, really. So Astral Chain is a one-of-a-kind type of action game. It's a very unique and different game, and if you have not seen my pseudo review of the game, make sure you check it out on the channel. It was a really good review, I felt, for the beginning. I'm going to do some more stuff on it as I beat the game because I'm really close to beating it. I've put over 24 hours into the game just because I'm doing all the side quests and doing all the stuff with like Lappy and all of that, because the game is such a joy to play. I mean, it has some faults here and there, but it really makes up for it when it comes to the look of the game, the style, the feel, the combat. Everything in this game is so unique and different from what you normally play. Platinum Games has proven they are the masters of action games, and now they're proving that they can also prove it on the sales charts as well, because there were some people that were thinking that Astral Chain wasn't going to be a game that was popular enough, that people aren't going to pick up the game, and I think that that's not going to be the case here with this. I mean, this game is not going to sell like Super Mario Maker 2 or like Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't think it's going to sell as good as that, or even like a Legend of Zelda, but is it still going to sell good? Is it still going to pick up a good number of sales and make money? Absolutely, absolutely, it's going to do so. So really happy for Platinum Games, really happy for Nintendo with this one, really happy for all the developers that worked hard and all the fans out there that went out there and bought the game, even when they didn't know much about Platinum Games or purchased their games before. They kind of had faith in a lot of the creators out there like myself and other people that said, no, this game's going to be really good, and the previews and everything that came out. So I'm just really happy that Astral Chain did this well. And of course, you guys can see the rest of the list here if you guys want to check it out. But what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to the NPD here? I was most impressed with Astral Chain being in that top 10 spot, but also seeing games like Fire Emblem Three Houses, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Mario Maker 2, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe pretty much all be like back to back to back on there is great as well. Always good to see a single platform, right? Because if you're looking at this list here, a lot of this is multi-platform. Nintendo's pretty much the only game on here with single platform, with the exception, I was trying to look at maybe even, no, there's no Spider-Man or anything like that, or God of War is not on here either. So all of these games are multi-platform titles across various different platforms, where Nintendo has actual like exclusives on this list. Usually we see like Spider-Man or something like that, or God of War on this list, but that's not on here this time. But also seeing like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 still in the top 20, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and Mario Maker 2. I think Mario Maker 2 might be helping out New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe get more sales, which is crazy, or vice versa. I'm not really sure, but to see Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Super Mario Party, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Maker 2, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Astral Chain, all Nintendo Switch exclusives in the top 20 is freaking nuts. I'm not sure if there's ever been anything like this when it comes to a system. The people who are purchasing Switch are buying games at a rapid rate, so that's good to see. It's always good to see that, and those are all fantastic games. Another thing to note with this here too, guys, that the Nintendo Switch was the #1 system sold when it comes to hardware on the NPD, which makes sense, right? With all the different exclusives that we just talked about here, Nintendo Switch being the #1 on the NPD with the hardware sales is also amazing. I know I always say this, but guys, what a turnaround from the Wii U, right? The Wii U pretty much never the #1 system on the NPD, and now with the Nintendo Switch continuously being the #1 on the NPD, I think dating all the way back to November of 2018, no other system has beat out when it comes to US hardware sales. No other system has beat out the Switch since then. It's pretty much won every single month this year, and even dating back to last year at the end, especially with that strong opening with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and that strong holiday season that Nintendo had. So that's also nuts too, man, just to see how much the system is selling and doing well. Crazy stuff all around, but continue buying those Nintendo Switch systems. And I also feel that this month with the Nintendo Switch Lite and that price drop on there with $200 on top of Link's Awakening and all the different games that are coming out, that's going to be a big boost to sales as well. So what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to the August top 20 NPD sales? What are your thoughts on Astral Chain and Fire Emblem Three Houses? What do you feel is more impressive? I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let us know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.